The college football playoff standings took a big shakeup today with some of the results. We don't care about any of that here, though. We're going to talk through some of these games from a fantasy angle. This is College Fantasy Tonight, brought to you by Campus 2 Canton. Welcome into College Fantasy Tonight. Austin Ace, Matt Bruning here. Gonna spend the next hour or so, just the two of us, talking through fantasy impact of some of the games here today, and obviously, some other storylines as well. We are paying attention to some of the games that are going on right now, and it seems like there's more this week than usual. Is that maybe I just feel that way?
No, you're probably right. I mean, I have 4 games up right now, and I feel like I'm missing out on some of them. Right now, I've got Texas, Georgia, UCLA, Ohio State, but then on my other 2 boxes, I have Ole Miss, Florida, Utah, Baylor, and I feel like I just had Missouri up earlier on one of them, but I switched off that one.
Washington's playing right now.
I had Washington up, but it was like 21, 28, nothing. I was like, yeah, I'm done. Like, I don't think I need to finish watching this game at the moment. Especially after their little like flea flicker play that Damon Williams had like a 40, 50-yard gain on that he threw the ball down. It looked like to their tight end earlier in that game. And I was like, okay, this one's kind of over with. So I put on Utah Baylor's. This one seems Utah just pulling further away, but it was closer when I turned it on.
Yeah, I'm sitting here watching Florida Ole Miss a little bit. So yeah, we'll kind of keep touch with those as we get to the end of the game here. But let's hop into some of the games that have already wrapped up, and let's start off with this Texas A&M South Carolina game. That Matt, we were talking about this right before we went live. I know they were saying that it was like the biggest comeback that's happened this year across the FBS. You're saying it's the biggest comeback in Texas A&M program history. Someone was saying as well. I can't verify this. This is just Matt Bruning that said this to me. So.
No, I did look it up because I wanted to make sure this is 100% correct. On November 15, 2025, when they rallied from a 27-point deficit, is also the largest comeback in school history and the largest comeback win in the FBS season. So not only this season, but Aggies history, largest comeback win, which is also fair because I'm going to tell you, I know you were watching this game as well. You said it felt like South Carolina was winning by more than 27 points with the way they dominated that first half. It looked almost impossible for Texas A&M to come back and win this game.
Yeah, it was pretty brutal. In fact, I watched the first half, and then I kind of I switched to a different game for a little bit. And then when I saw that they were roaring back, I flipped it back over and finished it up because I couldn't believe that they did. It's not that I think South Carolina is some juggernaut, just, shout out to A&M for having the stones to do that. Statistically, just, box score stuff on the day here, and then we can chat about how the game went. Marcel Reed, 22 for 39. Really bad first half, but ended up with 439 total passing yards, 3 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, added a handful of yards on the ground as well. That stuff has been more negligible this year than I thought it was going to be for Reed, the rushing production on a weekly basis, which I think is very interesting. Ruben Owens, the leading rusher on the day with only 28 yards. EJ Smith chipped in a rushing TD. Matt, your guy. Casey Concepcion, 7 for 158, led the team in receiving. And then with Mario Craver, he played. He had 1 for 6, but obviously not himself. Ashton Bethel Roman kind of stepped up in his spot, 4 for 139 and a touchdown for him. Then Isaiah Williams, who's the second-year receiver, who I kind of liked as a freshman, but didn't do much last year, 3 for 50 and a touchdown out of him. For South Carolina, Lenore Sellers, the first half was good. Second half, they just didn't move the ball at all. Yeah. Obviously, I mean, they didn't score, and kind of ugly. Sellers, 15 for 30, 246 yards passing, 2 passing touchdowns, an interception, about 30 yards on the ground. Nick Harbor caught a real long touchdown. The rest of the day, kind of silent, 3 for 102 and 1 for him. Vandravius Jacobs, 4 for 64 and 1. I mean, I don't really have a lot of overarching takeaways on this. Just shout out to A&M for being able to come back in this one and bring it back. I mean, this was a game that I think with where they are at right now, they could have afforded a loss and still probably made the playoff.
Yeah.
So, I mean, them to have that fortitude for sure.
Yeah, especially with, maybe definitely make the playoff. And then obviously what happened this afternoon with, which I'm sure was another game we'll get to here in a little bit, Alabama going down to Oklahoma, probably even still would have had a chance to get into the SEC championship with losing that game today, where it wouldn't have been that case, obviously after that game ended, but things have kind of broke their way on that. Yeah, you've got to give them props on that comeback. Again, I don't know what Elko said in the locker room or what got Marcel Reed to turn it around, because let's be honest, is night and day from what he was doing in the first half compared to the second. I mean, the first half was like almost a what?
I would say he was so bad in that first half, just awful.
Oh, yeah. You could have. I don't want to make a joke about someone purposely tanking anything, but it was almost comical how bad he was in that first half, and then he came out in the second half, looked like a completely different player. I think Concepcion could have had a much better day. He dropped the touchdown pass. There's a couple other passes that he dropped. Can I make a snarky comment about something really quick?
Oh, I don't
Mario
even know why you
Craver
asked
1 for
permission.
6 and finished second in someone's Bolitnikov ballot. I can't say that? Sorry. My bad. I'll keep that. I won't say anything else. Yeah, it's just an interesting day. EJ Smith did get a rushing touchdown. Sometimes forget that guy still plays college football. But I'm happy, that he's probably going to be on the SEC winning team, because I don't see who's better in the SEC than Texas A&M right now. I really don't. Again, I understand that the defense gave up. Defense, again, was really bad in that first half, but, I mean, they shut down South Carolina in that second half. And I mean, it's completely different. Oh, that's all I got.
I'm not gonna. I don't want to prop up Texas A&M because they dug themselves the deepest hole. They almost dug through to China and then managed to come back. I don't want to necessarily give them they won a game that they should have won, that they were like an 18-point favorite, because they absolutely just they had the bed crapping of a lifetime in the first half. I'm not. I mean, shout out to them. I don't think they're the best team in the SEC. I think there's a number of teams that.
Who would you give it to?
Okay, I mean, this is gonna sound a little bit weird because they lost today, but I mean, Alabama was a significantly better team over the course of that game. If you played that game 10 times, they'd probably win it 8. I know. I don't know if you know who's
Maybe.
like at Stats of War on Twitter. It's Parker. I forget what his last name is, but he does that chart like every Monday or Tuesday, and it's like, did we really get beat that bad?
Yeah.
And I guarantee you that Alabama is there's always the left side of it is for the teams that lost but outperformed the team that they beat by some sort of margin. I bet that they out this result just isn't super sticky for what happened today. And obviously, with I'm not going to sit here after I refuse to give A&M credit for digging a hole and winning. I'm not going to give Alabama credit for a loss that in a close game. But I think Alabama's better than them. I think Georgia's better than them too. And honestly, I'd be interested in watching them play Oklahoma. I think the tough part for a school like Oklahoma is I think defensively they could hang with them, but they might lose 21-10 because I don't know that they could score with A&M at all.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think, again, I'm not going to disagree with you on they were the ones that put themselves in that hole. But again, to come back down 27 in the second half, again, speaks to how good your team is. And the one thing we have talked about is, again, I just said that defense did shut down South Carolina in the in the second half. They have, as we've talked about specifically on C2C Live on Wednesdays and a couple of times on the tailgate of late, that the defense has kind of been giving up a lot of points of late. I still just think overall, the main thing with them is, even though EJ Smith is not great, this team has been able to run the ball and pass the ball, something Alabama cannot do. Alabama can only pass. They just have no running game. So maybe Georgia, but I'm watching. I think Texas is probably better than their overall record says. This has been Georgia's not able to really have not been able to completely pull away from Texas right now, which worries me a little bit.
I mean, Texas, It's so tough because I don't know that there's a perfect team in the SEC this year. I think they all have like a extremely glaring flaw, if not more than that. So it's tough to like pinpoint what it might be more matchup based. We talked about this Texas game this morning. Like what Texas does offensively is exactly what you would not want to do it for an entire 60 minutes against Georgia's defense. Like you want to be testing them deep. You want to be, looking for explosives down the field, and they everything they generate that's explosive is around the line of scrimmage that they kind of break. So, that's a tough one. And obviously, I mean, we can just hop into this Bama game next. We added a few games down just because from like a fantasy perspective, it wasn't that intriguing, but this was one that I watched overwhelming majority of, and I think you watched a bunch of it as well. Oklahoma wins 23-21, which really keeps Oklahoma's season hopes alive at this point. I don't think it hurts Bama too much from the sense that if they still went out, I think the SEC championship game is still there, like the appearance is still there. So to my knowledge, because they had the tiebreaker over Georgia. And Oklahoma has two SEC losses. I think it's how it works. John Mateer, it wasn't good again today. Like just quite frankly, 15 for 23, 138 yards. Had a 20-yard rushing TD as well. Xavier Robertson was the leading rusher on the day, 34 yards on the ground for him. Jermichael Carter was the leading receiver, 3 for 36. Ategna 4 for 26. Kanik 2 for 23. Burks 2 for 19. It's pretty crazy how this attack went from just we won all these pieces of it to I can't imagine starting a single Oklahoma player rest of the season here for Alabama. Ty Simpson did throw for 300-ish yards, a touchdown. The interception was a killer. Matt, you're gonna just poo-poo no matter what he does.
No, I didn't think he was horrible. I did not think he was horrible today. We talked about it. Oklahoma has a very good, a good defense. We know what Brent Venables is as a defensive, if you want to call him mastermind, however you want to put it, from a head coach and coordinator perspective. We talked about, on the tailgate this morning, started Oklahoma, Clemson, here now at Oklahoma as the head coach, and is very good when it comes to defensive schemes and everything. And I said on that show that I thought it was going to be a close game, and we both admitted that we thought Oklahoma could pull the upset here. And I said on there again, I think a lot of it has to do with Alabama is a very one-dimensional team. They just cannot run the ball. They have to rely on Ty Simpson to pass, which obviously hurts Ty Simpson a little bit as well because teams know. I don't think he played incredible, but I don't think he played bad. I really don't. I was a little frustrated that he got, over 300 yards because I did have his lower on underdog at 272. So that did hurt me. It's the only thing I lost out on today. So would have made a nice little chunk of change had he not done that. But yeah, I thought he played, however you want to put it, good. It's hard for me to say a player played good when they lose, and I don't think that you can put all of that on him. With the interception, like that being the reason they lost, because nothing comes down to one play at the end of the day. And there's multiple plays that could have won or lost the game.
They missed that field goal. They had a couple of drops in this one. Like Bernard had one or two that I was like, he usually catches that. I don't know what the deal was there. Ryan Williams' fumble, I actually think, was kind of the biggest killer on that punt return, because I think it was a 3-and-out, or maybe they'd gotten a first down on that drive. Oklahoma, Alabama, it just sucked the wind out of Alabama. You could tell they were about to get the ball back. Yeah. They got the punt. There's actually a decent punt return. They would have had okay field position, and then the fumble because Ryan Williams just being an idiot. I'm slowly losing faith in Ryan Williams. I don't know if it's a maturity thing or what the heck is up there, but the rest of the guys, it's interesting. They've really switched more toward running out Daniel Hill a lot. And I don't think it's because Daniel Hill does anything particularly well, but I think he can do a little bit of everything. And so they can do some different stuff from a personnel perspective when he's out there. Like he can catch passes. He just is garbage in the open field. So, there's no real threat there besides picking up a couple of yards. But I mean, I guess if that's a surrogate for the run game on the day, then, whatever. The leading receiver on the day was actually Josh Cuevas, the tight end, who he was pretty good on the day. I mean, every time the ball went his way, he looked pretty solid. 6 for 80 and 1. Bernard had 7 for 71. And then after that, it was just, 3 for 50-ish for some guys. I mean, it's actually pretty interesting how I think overall, like, I really like this Bama team. I think they're probably the best team in the SEC, but you look around and there's like not a lot of dudes compared to some of the Bama teams that we've had over the past decade.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's another reason why I would find it hard to say they're the best team in the SEC. Because I think you have to, like, at the end of the day, and I really do think, like, I think Texas A&M is overall the more complete team because they can do it all. They have, I would not say they have the best defense out of the three. I'd probably lean Georgia's right now out of those three if we're talking the Aggies, Georgia, and Alabama's. Georgia, I think, has the best defense. I mean, I would argue that the Aggies have the best offense. I would take the as crazy as this probably is to say, I think I would take Reed over Simpson and Gunnar Stockton and all the weapons that the Aggies have. There's nobody on Bama's side that I would take over the experience with the disappointing season Ryan Williams is having. Jeremy Bernard's been good. I don't want to sell Bernard short.
Really good.
He's overall, I think, been fairly decent over the season. So I'd probably put him up there with like Concepcion, but like there's nobody on Georgia's wide receiver core that like I'm super stoked about having. Their running game is kind of, I think actually all threes are average. I think Georgia probably has the best room, but as we talked about on the tailgate this morning, they just like refuse to give the ball to one guy on that team. So I don't know. I think you mentioned it, and you're probably more right than I am in saying that I think the Aggies are the best team. I think all three are very close to each other, and it's just more of a, typically in the SEC, it feels like over the past few years, maybe not even last year, but before that, we've had like a just dominant team in the SEC, and I don't think we have that right now. But I do think overall, I would say the Aggies are the best.
That's fair enough. I mean, they're undefeated at the top for a reason. So, the reason is kind of that they haven't played anybody. But beyond that, all right. Navy South Florida.
That's fair. I did bring that up. I thought it was funny when they showed.
Go ahead. You must be lagging over there. We're way off here.
Their schedule when they showed the schedule during the game, it was I was lagging a little bit. Yeah. It was very bad. Them showing the schedule with absolutely not one of those teams having a winning schedule. It was not pretty.
Yeah. All right. Navy South Florida. Navy wins this one 41-38. Really important game for the G5 spot in the college football playoff. Because I think this all but eliminates South Florida, unfortunately. It's kind of a bummer. I was really pulling for them this year. I thought with Byron Brown and everything, they were a really fun team that could have given. I mean, they have already given some P4 teams some trouble. Didn't really lose because of Byron Brown, though. 23 for 32, 327 yards passing, 2 touchdowns, and interception. Added 136 yards and 2 touchdowns on the ground. No real other rushers that stood out. Receiving wise, Jeremiah Coger, that true freshman, like he just continues to be really, really strong for them this year. 9 for 112 and 1 for him. Keyshawn Singleton, 5 for 86 and 1. Mudia Rubin is a name that I actually don't know at all. 4 for 61 and 1 for him. They really how many 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 players had receptions for them today. That on only 23 completions. That's pretty crazy. For Navy, I think the story for them, I feel bad. We talked about it on the tailgate this morning. We recommended somebody start Horvath, and he left with an injury in this one. Didn't return. Had an okay day, but I think would have been, it could have been a much better, obviously, if he didn't leave in this one. Alex Texa, 12 for 126 and 1. His backup, Braxton Woodson, added 103 yards and 2 touchdowns on the ground. Then Heidenreich, five catches, 146 yards, and had 39 rush yards as well. So, sorry that we said Horvath. Didn't anticipate injury, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Yeah, I mean, there's nothing we can do about that. I mean, as you mentioned, we were right on the call, right? It was like right process, wrong or bad result, however that saying goes. Like Horvath was playing well, likely he's going to end up having a really good fantasy day. He unfortunately gets injured. There's not, there's no way for us to guess that someone's going to get injured. Overall, I mean, yeah, it does suck for South Florida, especially after the way they started the season. They were really looking like a team that could kind of easily take that G5 or G6 spot there in the playoffs. I think would have still been a fun team. I believe in our bracket last week, they were the candidate to go in from that side. I believe we had them playing Georgia and losing that game. Still think it would have been a fun game to see that. Chances are it will not be them now. I don't know who it will be. I think my next highest rated G5 school for me was North Texas, but I don't think you and Chris had North Texas that high. So it'll be interesting to see. That kind of opens the G. Wow. Ole Miss just got an interception. It'll be, I mean, that opens it wide open, as you mentioned. So it's going to be really interesting to see that race to the end of the year here. What do we got? 2 weeks left before championship games. So it's going to be a fun race for that G6 group there to see who's going to get that playoff spot.
Yeah, and let's just touch on, the North Texas and James Madison here real quick. North Texas wins today 53-24. It would have been tough to, I think, rationalize them getting in when they had that beat down to South Florida, but now obviously I think that point becomes a little more moot. Mestamaker, a real efficient day again for him, 18 for 25, 298 yards, 2 touchdowns. Caleb Hawkins, man, this offense is just is Caleb Hawkins centric now. Like he's at the middle of it, and everything else kind of rotates around him. 27 carries, 189 yards, 5 touchdowns on the day for him. And then Wyatt Young, the big guy at receiver again. I know I don't really have much of him because they had been rotating guys every week for so long that I just didn't believe in him when he first started kind of catching on there. And 8 for 143 and a touchdown there for him today. And then for UAB, I mean, Jalen Kitna had 281 yards passing, a couple interceptions. Javon Jackson on the ground, 16 for 159. And then Brandon Hawkins led them in receiving, 6 for 127 and 1. If you started Iverson Hook, 6 for 58. So not a ton going on there for him. I don't know if there's a lot to take away. Like we talked to Caleb Hawkins this morning. I know we talked about, sending a first round supplemental pick for him next year and that kind of stuff. I don't know. We need to revisit that argument per se, but I mean, just the league winner, like definition. If you look it up in the dictionary, just got a picture of Caleb Hawkins sitting there.
Yeah, I mean, he's been absolutely phenomenal, as you just mentioned. So is Wyatt Young. He's a guy that I was able to get a couple shares of late off the waiver wire as well. But yeah, Hawkins, I mean, even if you weren't able to get him at a point where like it's able to help your season, obviously a lot of C2C leagues, waiver wires can be a little bit different. I'd imagine if a contending team has come calling for him, as Felix posted on X, the whole reason of that discussion, you probably got a ransom for him, a king's ransom with how much he's going to cost. And again, you mentioned whether he does transfer up or not, I think that he is just such a talented player that he should succeed anywhere he goes. He's a true freshman, so you get at least 2 more years out of him, at maybe 3 if people doubt, or maybe his NFL future isn't quite there. But yeah, absolutely amazing. And Mestamaker, like let's not sell Mestamaker short either. He was a guy that was in a battle with Reese Poffenbarger at the time. And a lot of people probably grabbed Mestamaker late in their supplemental drafts, if not off the waiver wire as well, because some were doing them. I think the league of record, we did ours right before the season started, and that's when he was announced. And I got him in like the 12th round of that draft. Like it was not early that I picked him up because we still weren't sure who was going to be the starter. So again, if you got him late or off the waiver wire, Mestamaker's been probably, I mean, what is he probably now? He's got to be ranked top 20 at quarterback, right? I mean, he's had a pretty phenomenal year. Bless you.
Oh yeah, thank you. Yeah, he probably is. I mean, he started off the season really hot from a fantasy perspective and has cooled down a little bit as they've kind of shifted everything toward Hawkins. So, yeah. So
I'll look him up real quick while we're waiting.
The other, we just mentioned James Madison is the other one here. They had a big win today that was never in doubt, 58-10 over Appalachian State. I don't know that there's any real overarching takeaways from this one. I looked at the score. I rolled Barnett out there in a couple of spots, and Barnett got like 25 fantasy points. I was like, how the heck did they score almost 60 points? This Joby Mallory dude. Joby Mallory. Yeah. I've literally never heard of this guy. 8 carries, 105 yards, and 3 touchdowns. Wayne Knight, 16 for 94 and a touchdown. Sluka actually got a bunch of run, 4 for 70 and a touchdown out of him. On the receiving side of things, they just really spread the ball around. Knight actually 6 for 55 was probably their most notable receiver on the day. Okay. I'm not telling you to go pick up Joby Mallory though. I not enough information at this point, but 8 for 105 and 3 feels very unsustainable to me.
Yeah, I don't disagree. Mestamaker is QB 11 on the season right now, so having a very good year. And I was wrong. It was apparently a different league. I thought I had him in League of Records. Ethan has him, which also makes sense. Ethan, very, very great and good CFF player in that league. But yeah, he's got Mestamaker in that league. Not that matters. But yeah, he's QB 11. I would agree with you. Probably not a guy worth going and picking up at this moment. But good for James. I guess they probably are one of the G5 teams that has a chance to get that playoff spot too, right?
They are ranked, I think, the highest G6 team. Now I guess they're called. I think according to the playoff committee. So yeah, I would assume this week they'll step into that spot. They're 9-1. They'll go to the Sun Belt Championship game, I'm sure here. And yeah, I would probably pick them to make it at this point. Sorry, you froze again real bad. This is the perils of doing things live. But alas.
Oh, did I? I'm sorry.
At least on my side, and computer. I feel like I'm real smooth right now, and I don't know. But yeah. All right, some other games here just to quickly touch on. We really skipped around on the show sheet, so now I'm trying to get us back on track here. No one to blame but myself. I think we nailed analysis on pretty much all the games this morning when we were picking, except this Notre Dame Pitt game. Notre Dame runs away with this 137-15. CJ Carr, 212 yards passing, 2 passing touchdowns, a couple of interceptions as well for him. Jeremiah Love, 23 carries, 147 yards and a touchdown, a really nice 50-ish yard touchdown. Also had a couple of catches. And then Malachi Fields, 7 for 99 and 2. He caught both touchdowns. Then Eli Raridan had 6 for 67 as well. I don't know if there's that much else to talk about for Notre Dame, except for that they were just a total buzzsaw today, and it really never felt like they had to get out of third gear. How generous do you want to be toward Pitt?
Yeah. It was a tough game. It was a tough game to watch, unfortunately. I was really rooting for Pitt. We talked about a lot about on the tailgate. I thought that they would cover this. I actually picked them to upset Notre Dame. It didn't start off great for Heisman Heinschel with I think what is Notre Dame scored 2 touchdowns in like a matter of like 15, 20 seconds, something like that. It went really quick. They scored the touchdown, I think, right on the next drive. Jeremiah Love scored the touchdown. Go ahead. You're muted.
You're good.
Still muted. Going. There we go. Okay. Yeah, Jeremiah Love gets the touchdown, and then Heisman Heinschel throws the interception for that. Reed, as you mentioned, left with injury. I mean, Love still looked phenomenal again, which we kind of talked about on the tailgate this morning, that even though Pitt's defense was ranked 3rd against the run, it was kind of fraudulent, as you mentioned, with some of the teams that they had played. And I think Love kind of showed that they did shut down Price fairly well, which is something that not a lot of teams have really been able to do. Price has had a pretty good year so far. But Love, I think, I mentioned this last week on C2C Live. I think he's really kind of, he continues running this way, is going to work himself into the Heisman conversation. I don't think he's going to win it, but I do think he could possibly get an invite to New York. But he continues having a phenomenal year. I mean, look, I know Carr had 2 interceptions in this game, but I thought that he played fairly well as well for a team going up against, again, while that run defense may have been a little bit fraudulent, they were still, I believe, I can't remember what it was this morning we talked, I think it was top 25 in pass defense, and I thought he still looked fairly good against them. Carr is just, I think he's having a good season. Again, I contribute a lot of that to Mike Denbrock. I'm not trying to say CJ Carr is this world beater or anything, but Denbrock just seems to be able to get the best out of his quarterbacks, and Notre Dame's probably making the playoffs at this point. And probably going to be a good team in the playoffs again too. Like they just seem to be able to put together these games and find multiple ways to beat you.
My only real worry with CJ Carr at this point is that there were a couple times today where he did not feel pressure coming from his blind side. It just was something that I kind of noted as I was watching the game. I mean, hard to kind of nitpick anything else. If you're like, I played against Jeremiah Love in a couple spots today, and I felt real grateful that he only walked out of this game with like 167 yards and 1 touchdown, because it really could have been. I feel like it just felt like one of those where it was like you blink and he has 3 or 4. Yeah, can't complain too much about that. Let's see, Texas Tech, UCF. I watched like half of this game and then turned it off because it just turned into a blowout. I mean, Texas Tech they pulled Baron Morton because they were up by so much and there was no need to risk them. They put Jacob Rodriguez in at running back to get him a rushing touchdown because they're trying to push for him to be a Heisman guy. They were given Reggie Virgil had 2 rushing touchdowns. I mean, it was about as comprehensive of a win as we're going to discuss here on this show this week. There was nothing notable at all for UCF. Yeah. They really didn't do anything in this game. I mean, Dickey just continues to be really, really impressive. I know I'd said this morning I probably would be okay starting Jacoby Williams as well. The game got out of hand too fast. And Virgil took all the rushing touchdowns. I mean, so Williams didn't do too much, but yeah, I mean, just like I said, just as comprehensive of a victory as you're going to see this weekend, I think, overall.
Yeah, I think you actually asked this question earlier in the offseason, or not, I'm sorry, early in the offseason, probably to start off the year. I think it's becoming more and more with how well Cameron Dickey is playing, is what is going to happen once what's his name?
Quentin Joyner.
What's his name? When Quentin Joyner comes back, like, is he actually going to come back and possibly be a starter for this team? I have very serious questions about that now with how good he's been playing. I am happy that Texas Tech pulled Baron Morton out for precautionary reasons. If he was dealing with anything, there was no reason to leave him in there. We've seen teams do that in the past, like even waiting till like the 4th quarter to then put in the backup or the freshman to kind of get anything. I'm really glad that they pulled him because, again, they need him if they're going to continue to make this run. They've obviously got a really great shot of winning the Big 12 and making it into the playoffs. So I think it was a very smart move by that coaching staff. But yeah, I mean, Texas Tech, incredible game from them. Really, really good move on the offense. Again, Cameron Dickey. And as you mentioned, Jacoby Williams, sucks a little bit that it got out of hand that quick for him. But they've got a very dynamic running game, and it's working out for both of them.
Yeah. USC, USC ends up coming back and winning this one. This was another one we said this morning, we both pick Iowa like against the spread, and they covered. And they got up early by doing the least Iowa thing I think I've ever seen them do, which was run a trick play on like the 4-yard line with what ended up as a touchdown pass to Mark Gronowski, who, shout out to Mark Gronowski, had a passing touchdown, a rushing touchdown, and a receiving touchdown in the first half. And then they went into the locker room and said, we're going to turtle. We're going to do nothing in the second half. And that's what they did. Real galaxy brain stuff there. For USC, though, Mayava, we talked this morning, with the weather and stuff. Is this a oopsie daisy Mayava day? It was not. 254 yards passing, 1 touchdown. And he only had 11 rush yards because some of the sack yardage, but he picked up some crucial first down / just yardage on some option type stuff. So shout out to him on that. King Miller, the stat line is not amazing. 19 for 83 against this Iowa defense. I thought he was really, really good in this game. Again, running tough, picking up really tough yardage, keeping the chains moving against a really physical defense. And I think they ended up kind of wearing them down in the second half, and Miller was a part of that. Brian Jackson had a couple of vulture-ish rush touchdowns. Mekhi Lemon, 10 for 153 and 1, and that was majority in the second half. I don't remember what his stat line was at halftime, but he didn't have much, and then broke out big in the second half. Jacoby Lane, 7 for 65. On the Iowa side, Moulton and Patterson were really good. Call me old fashioned. I don't like when these dudes have Moulton had this real tough run tonight, and he got up and he did that like shotgun into like the opponent. Like, I don't like that celebration. I think that should be an automatic flag. I'm sorry. It's extremely inappropriate.
No, I agree with you. Because there's someone, I've mentioned this before on C2C Live. I don't think we've ever talked about it here. That both of you and me are both big soccer fans. Joshua Zirkzee, who plays for Manchester United, does that as well. And then Kobe Mainu did it last year, did the machine gun thing. I'm not a big fan of the gun shooting celebrations either. I think it's just a little tasteless, but yeah, I don't disagree. I think it's one of those, what is it? The joke on Key and Peele, like, is it 3 thrusts to get you the flag, but if you do 2, you're kind of good. Like, it's one of those celebrations where I think it should be an immediate flag. Real quick on Grana, I swear I don't know how to say this dude's name. The Iowa quarterback. Did you know that there is never in the NFL been a player who's got a rushing, receiving, and passing touchdown in the first half? And there's no record of anybody doing that in the college side as well. So he might have just set a record for being the first player ever to get a rushing, receiving, and passing touchdown in the first half.
Usually when Iowa sets offensive records, it's fewest something. So shout out to them. We got a lot of shout out. Just good for them. Yeah, they hung in there. They played tough. I mean, it's just so tough when you really when the staff there just neuters them so bad at times. Like, you could clearly at halftime that it's like, we're just going to run the clock out. We're going to, try to shorten the game. It's like, dude, you're not up by 28. You're up by, I don't remember what the halftime score was. It's like, you have to do something. And they just really didn't. This Georgia Tech Boston College game was pretty wild. I don't know. I turned it on kind of late because it just wasn't a priority for me in this one. And Boston College almost got another big win this week, which has kind of been the story of their season. But 36-34, Georgia Tech ends up pulling it out with a really late touchdown. Haynes King, did his thing again, 371 yards passing and a touchdown. Did not have a rushing touchdown. So Mark Gronowski is now the only player or the only quarterback who has a rush touchdown in every single game this year. So shout out to Mark Gronowski times 2. Malachi Hosley, leading rusher on the day, 15 for 107 and a touchdown. Malik Rutherford, leading receiver on the day, 5 for 121 and 1. Eric Rivers had over 100 yards receiving as well. On the Boston College side, Turbo Richard, 11 carries, 141 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Dylan Lonergan was finally effective again this week, 362 yards and 2 touchdowns for him. And then on the receiving side of things, Reed Harris, big day for him, 5 for 142 and 1. And then Lewis Bond, 8 for 106. So, I mean, Richard, Bond, Harris, if you were tempted to start any of those guys today, it worked out for you for sure.
Yeah, I mean, Turbo Richard had that really long touchdown run. I think it was actually to give Boston College the lead there for the 34. So it was looked like Boston College was going to come away with it. We didn't. I felt like we didn't get to talk much about USC. I actually thought they played really well on that side too. Was wrong on that. Maava ended up having a pretty good day. Kyle Lemon just continues to be an absolute baller. But yeah, on Georgia Tech side, we've talked about. I know you have actually been a little bit more probably closer to being right on what you thought of their overall team than me and Chris K. We've still kind of had them ranked pretty high in our top 25 every single week, even after the loss last week. We still had them ranked pretty high. They've really kind of come down to earth, I would say, over the past couple of weeks and not really been dominating. I think they got a little bit lucky in pulling this one out this week. I was a big fan of Lonergan as well at Boston College. Looked great for me for those first 2 weeks. This is probably the first week. If you were a Lonergan fan, you felt good about propping him up. But it was a fun game to watch overall. I didn't get a ton of eyes on this one either. But again, Georgia Tech does keep winning, so we'll see what happens with them. I think their chances of making the playoffs are, I don't remember if it's next. I think it's the last week of the season they play Georgia. So it's going to come down to that Thanksgiving week. And If they beat Georgia, they're probably in the playoffs. But right now, they're probably on their way out. And speaking of Georgia, I think they just got a turnover to pretty much seal Texas's fate, possibly.
Still a lot of game left, Matthew. But
Dude,
yes, probably.
Are you watching it though?
No,
Did
I'm
you see
watching
what
this
happened?
Florida game. No, I'm watching this Florida game.
Okay. Can I say what happened?
Yeah, go for it. Paint
Georgia
the picture,
scored.
set the scene.
So Georgia just scored to go up 21-10, and then Kirby Smart called for an onside kick, and they got it. And
It's
Kirby
Eddie House,
Smart,
them doing the big balls dance, and
yeah.
get this man a wheelbarrow.
He not only did he wheelbarrow out there with his big balls, I think he did like the home run celebration right in front of everybody on the Texas is obviously on the whole other sideline, but he was woo. Hey, Kirby Smart. I've not seen Kirby Smart that animated in a long time. He was very happy. Yeah. It was a very well executed onside kick. Now get the ball back. If they score here, it might be over. It's taking about 3 3/4 for Texas to get 10 points on this Georgia defense. So it might be over if Georgia scores again.
Oh yeah, it's definitely over if they score here again. For sure. Just a couple games to touch on. Miami, NC State. Miami blew them out. Miami emptied the bench. Just a bunch of guys contributed. Colin got a little more hope because JoJo Trader had 44 yards today. So now I think he needs like 800 yards in the next 2 weeks or something for Colin to win our bet. So I guess it's technically, more possible than it would have been if he didn't have 44 yards today. And then for NC State, just bad. I mean, just 120 yards passing for CJ Bailey. Hollywood Smothers had -2 yards on the day. Their leading receiver had 40 yards. Ugly. Who did NC State beat recently? They just beat somebody.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully you guys listen to us when we oh gosh, I forgot. It was like last week too, wasn't it? It was Georgia Tech, wasn't it? It was Georgia Tech a couple weeks ago.
As much as that might have saved Dave Doran's job, this one was bad. This one was bad.
Yeah. But yeah, on NC State side, they were bad. Hopefully you listen to Austin and I think I froze again, didn't I? This is exactly how the college football day has been too. Just my luck on this day. I don't know what's going on with my computer. On the Hollywood Smothers side, though, we kind of cautioned playing him because of the injury. So hopefully, I know a couple people seemed to kind of pivot off him late when we talked about him tailgate. Hopefully that continued. Carson Beck, it was nice to see him kind of return somewhat. And yes, on Malachi Toney still seems to continue to be the best player on Miami. And yeah, Colin, if you are listening to this and you want to continue to hold out hope for your home field bet against Austin, yeah, it only has to average 400 yards in the next couple of games. So,
I mean, what other choices do you have? It's I guess he could concede like a real man, but he won't do it. He won't do it. Gerard Pringle, I just want to shout out real quick. Somebody was talking about him in our Discord this week, had been kind of getting some carries, and with Lyle out, with Fletcher out, he led them today, but I don't know exactly how much of that was just game script, like just straight up. I mean, tough to say for sure. So, and it's not even necessarily a guy that I would advocate adding unless I don't know, unless you have unlimited waivers and it's some sort of weird situation. I would not probably do it, but I think a watch list name to keep an eye on here over the next couple of weeks. Likewise, Tennessee emptied the bench too today. Again, not really a lot to take away there. I don't even know that I really need to go through the stats. Every running back scored a rushing touchdown. Braylon Staley had the receiving touchdown for them today. Aguilar was fine against New Mexico State. So not a lot there to talk about. If you want to just kind of plug into some of the games that are going right now, because we've kind of been dancing around them here. I know, Texas and Georgia being the main one here. Ole Miss is finally starting to pull away a little bit on Florida here. It's 33-24. Florida's way backed up here. Their own side of the field and the game's almost over. So, my stream might also be slightly behind, but that's where I'm at right now. Kwan Lacey, 224 yards rushing and 3 rushing touchdowns today. So shout out to him. DJ Lagway, 212 yards passing, touchdown, interception. Much better game. I thought Florida, and not that we're like actually even considering rolling anybody out there on a weekly basis from Florida, except for Jaden Baugh, who had 61 yards and a touchdown so far tonight. But I thought they did a lot this week to make Lagway's just reads a lot easier, especially they hit a couple of big deep passes. Mm-hmm. Just, clear out, send a guy on like a deep post or something, give him half the field to just shoot that ball into and let a guy get underneath it, simplify the read. It's funny because on the second deep one that they showed, he hit the deep post. He also had like another guy running wide open. I don't know what Ole Miss was doing on the play, but they did a good job of that this week. So that's just something to monitor here over the next couple of weeks, especially after coming off of that stinker last week that got him benched.
Yeah, I mean, on Lagway's side, the interception was not his fault. I watched it happen. It was a tipped pass. I mean, there's only so much you can do about that. I mean, maybe he didn't have to make that throw. It was definitely he tried to roll out of the pocket and make like a sidearm throw. You probably don't have to make that throw, but still, it was a tipped pass. I'm going to cut Lagway some slack on that. What I will say is, God, Kwan Lacey is good. I wish he wouldn't have gotten caught from behind on that breakaway touchdown run, because I do think that he looks like one of the things I loved about him coming out of high school was the explosive breakaway speed. I worry a little bit about that when you're getting caught from behind on the college football level, but I do want to give him some props on that first touchdown he scored. As you mentioned, he's got 3 that actually broke the Ole Miss rushing record in a season. That was 17. So now he is up to 19. He is having an incredible season for Ole Miss, and I care so much because I love the kid. Not that I know him, but I think he's an amazing guy, because. And it was one of my guys, guy that I flag planted this year. Well, no, it's Cam Cook. Flag planted Kwan Lacey before. But anyways, great. He's having a great season. Happy for him. Happy for non-fraudulent Lane Kiffin and the Ole Miss Rebels. Non-fraudulent. They are proving that so far this year.
Yeah, I would blame Lagway for the interception. It was kind of a stupid throw, is what it is. Wasn't the craziest interception I've seen today. We didn't talk about this at all. Did you see that interception in the USC game?
No, I didn't.
Oh, you see some deflection interceptions. I don't know that I've ever quite seen one like this. I couldn't tell exactly what happened. Gronowski rolled out to his right and then kind of just tried to throw like a 6 or 7 yard pass downfield, threw it kind of low to his receiver. And I couldn't tell because the defender kind of got in and it got like his fist in. I couldn't tell if it hit the defender's hand, if it hit the receiver's knee. I could basically just like hit him and pop straight up like in the air, like 7 yards back toward the quarterback. And just the defensive end was just standing there and just didn't know any better, just hit him right in the numbers and he caught it. So that was, I can't remember seeing a lot of those. It was interesting. Also very interesting. Do they have a fire extinguisher on the Ole Miss sideline? Is that what they're dancing around with?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just wanted to confirm that.
I just watched it. I watched it. Sleeper CFB posted that interception, so I was just watching it right there.
Perfect.
So,
yeah, I can't recall ever seeing a sequence exactly like that. So that was pretty cool. Any other performances or games that you want to toss out there? I mean, just to touch on the scores that are going on right now. Utah is blowing out Baylor 55-28. Washington's up big on Purdue. Utah State UNLV tied at 23 going into the very end of the fourth quarter. Ohio State's blowing out UCLA. Someone was asking, like, how does Isaiah West look in our Discord? I was like, buddy, everybody's averaging 10, 11, 12 yards per carry today. Yeah. This is just not the one to figure out who actually is good and who is not. Everybody's good after this one. Missouri pulling away a little bit, 35-25. I think Ahmad Hardy just had a really long rush touchdown. And then Florida State got their crap together here in the second half and is now up by 20 on Virginia Tech. I don't know any other stuff to touch on here, Matt.
No, I mean, on the Georgia-Texas game, I mean, we just talked about it. Georgia is struggling to drive right now. So if they don't score, maybe this game is still in doubt. Obviously, before we probably close out the show, so it'll be interesting to see what happens. Although Gunnar Stockton just had a big first down run. So looks like that probably is going to, as they are now down in the red zone. The one thing I do want to mention on Ohio State side of things, number one, we were right about Bo Jackson. It's always good to be right. I would be a little worried about Julian Sayin. just because if you guys did not see this, I believe it was in the second quarter. He got kind of hit as he was getting ready to throw. It wasn't an illegal hit or anything like that, but the way he fell on his ankle looked like he hurt it a little bit. I believe they have pulled him as of this point. He did come back into play a little bit, but wasn't quite as effective. Did not put up some of that stuff. Also, Jeremiah Smith left banged up in this one as well going into the locker room. He only had the 4 for 40. That is just something I would say to be a little bit worried about from Ohio State side of things, because again, they get Rutgers next week in a big week for playoffs. We already saw that they're not afraid to sit Carnell Tate for this game. That's just something we're going to have to monitor over the next couple of days. I would be a little bit concerned about, if you're starting Sayin and maybe even Jeremiah Smith for the first round, or I guess second round of the playoffs, if you had to bye this week, just a little concerning in that Ohio State game.
It's a good point. Also, just it's tough I wouldn't want anyone to overreact from a negative perspective, because this game has been out of hand since pretty early. This game was over real fast. So I'm sure there's some, I'm sure there's some precautionary stuff going on here too. So I wouldn't say nobody panic, everyone stay calm, but definitely not ideal for sure. Yeah, I think that it. We're gonna wrap this bad boy up.
Yeah, I mean, my internet is, I feel like, only going to keep getting worse at this point, or whatever's going on with my computer. So let's it might just be, this must be the week we just need to cash it in a little bit early. But Ole Miss has won. Georgia just scored, so that probably is put a nail in the coffin of that one. So there's not really any just UNLV Utah State is probably the only one that's still up in the air as we close out the show.
Boom. All right. Thanks for tuning in here, guys. Hopefully today was good to you. We will see you guys again next week on the tailgate and back on here. We'll talk to you guys later.